One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What my gut tells me right now is that we just have to keep being honest. I got to just keep being honest. I got to keep focusing on what matters the most outside of party lines. I need to focus on a vision that goes beyond November. And if that means that we stay in and, there's benefits to staying.
Okay, you may not know who this is. This is Nicole Shanahan is her name. She is RFK Jr.'s running mate. She would be RFK Jr.'s vice president if he were to win the election. Some breaking news here, which, as I've titled, as you can see, this could potentially be absolutely game-changing. In fact, it is such of a game changer that it could essentially end the Kamala Harris candidacy. It would be over right now. It's earth-shattering. I'm telling you right now, it's earth-shattering. So what Nicole Shanahan is saying here, and it broke about an hour ago, is that at this point, the RFK Jr. team realizes at this point that they cannot win. And right now they're contemplating, and let me just show you what Charlie Kirk wrote here. Breaking news, RFK Jr.'s vice president candidate, Nicole Shanahan, says their campaign is considering joining forces with Trump to prevent a Harris-Walsh administration. RFK endorsing Trump is a natural move. The both are sworn enemies of the three-letter alphabet agencies. They both hate them. RFK Jr. has an even bigger reason to hate them. RFK can also help a lot with FDA and CDC corruption. It doesn't matter if they disagree on some issues, they agree on the big stuff. The civilization-defining issues in this election. And as Republicans, or rather MAGA Republicans, our ultimate goal is simply to win. There should be nobody worried about, hey, is RFK Jr., he's got some weird thoughts on different things. Forget about that. If he's willing to come on to this camp, if he's willing to say, all right, Donald, whatever we got to do, we need to beat these commies, then come on, bring it. Bring it. So I'm going to let you hear what she had to say. She couched her words very carefully. Obviously, she wouldn't have done this interview without RFK Jr. saying, go for it. So listen to what she has to say.
And if we get over 5% of the vote, we actually establish ourselves as a party. 71% of Americans want a strong third party with a real shot at winning. There's even public funds available if we get over 5% of the vote. So we could get, I think it's like $13.5 million.
Yeah, they would, if they stayed in and got 5% of the vote, they would get $13+ million to help fund their new party, or, however they wanted to do things. So now he's got a lot to weigh. But having another party, if Kamala Harris gets elected, doesn't matter, because we know it's straight communism coming down the pike.
In public funds to keep the party going. And that's, that's worth something.
Yeah.
That means that we can position for a real third party election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access, which means that we can spend all of that time and money campaigning. So, there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency, because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah, not an easy decision.
Now,
Actually, it is. If you're looking at the future of America, it's an easy decision. They've got to go and merge with Trump. I think Elon Musk is going to step in. He'll have some things to say. But it appears, though, at this point, RFK Jr. is realizing the future of this country, however you foresee the future of this country, is only going to exist if Donald Trump wins. It will not exist. There will be no future for America if Kamala Harris gets into office. Which leads me to my second video that I want to show you before Trump gets on. And this was really interesting that this popped up. This is something that came up earlier today, actually about 11:45 a.m. while I was on the other show. Jack Posobiec tweeted this: breaking, Biden just slipped up and admitted that he dropped out of the race so the Democrats could focus on House and Senate seats, meaning down ballot. He knows Kamala isn't the real goal. Understand what he's saying there. What he's saying there is, they already know Kamala can't win. They already know it's over. Done. The only reason he stepped aside was to save the down votes. Down ballot. House and Senate races. If what he said, if he wasn't being his demented self, if he had a moment of lucidity, and actually told us what was really going on by mistake or not, did he throw Kamala under the bus? I don't know. I'm going to let you hear it yourself, and you tell me what you think.
You angry at Nancy Pelosi or Nancy with her?
No, I haven't spoken to Nancy at all. I mean, look, no one influenced my decision. No one knew it was coming. What I decided to
I don't believe that. I believe a number of people knew what was coming.
do was, I didn't want to the extent that the party thought they'd lose Senate seats or House seats, That would have been the topic you would have had to cover the entire remainder of the campaign.
You hear that? To the extent that the party would have lost House and Senate seats would have been the big thing. That was more important. He understood he wasn't looking good in the race, and he also understood, hey, listen, we may lose House and Senate seats.
And it wasn't worth it.
I think the first line.
You got the black guy here on the set at Fox News is, I don't think he's a campaign director, but he might be the communications director for Kamala Harris. And this guy didn't know this was coming. Dana and Bill Hemmer right here. Dana Perino, Bill Hemmer. I don't think this guy saw this clip coming.
And there is critical. I haven't spoken to Nancy at all. She was in the front row last night. They haven't talked?
Well, I can't speak to any of the decisions that they made.
And right away, I can't speak to that. I don't know. You're going to have to talk to, to Nancy and or Joe. But you're the communications director, bro. You don't know? That's really big. That's really big as far as I'm concerned. That's absolutely huge. Yeah. Hey, Sandra, how are you? It says, vote red, folks, all the way down the ticket. Joy is the slogan. Behar or Reed. Either way, that translates to psychotic. Absolutely. Joe is out before he realized it. Some says, Barry, Dan Bongino didn't mention anything about pushing the BS sentencing of President Trump. In fact, he still seemed to think there's a good chance they'll try to illegally jail him. Thoughts? My thoughts on it was based upon the letter that Alvin Bragg sent to Judge Merchan the other day. And in that letter, I think I posted it yesterday, and it's there. Alvin Bragg mentions the problems inherent with the conviction, that there's issues here that we need to check out to make sure that we're doing this thing the right way, because the Supreme Court threw a monkey wrench into everything. We need to make sure, Judge Merchan. And he basically went, I'm out of it. And now it's on Judge Merchan to make the sole decision at his discretion at this point. If Dan is thinking that they're going to put him in jail, then what Dan is saying is that Merchan, who is probably so beholden at this point to the Democrats, is going to put him in jail because he has to. That with his daughter bringing in tens of millions of dollars to Kamala's campaign, is he bought and paid for? If he's bought and paid for, and he has no choice, who knows? Maybe they've got dirt on him as well. If he has no choice, then maybe he will be stupid enough to put him in jail. Don't know. But that would be the only thing Dan would be talking about in that instance, because at this point, with Alvin Bragg throwing a white flag up and saying, hey, do what you need to do, hey, I'm out of it, don't ask us. We think it should be postponed. So the prosecutor at this point has said, we're okay with it. If he goes forward with sentencing, then that's on the judge. And at this point, if the judge is compromised and has to do this, then he may put Trump in jail. But I don't know if Dan knows anything about the judge and how far this guy might be compromised. We know they've taken his daughter's taken tens and tens of millions of dollars in for Kamala. So go either way. Let's see here. Musk, Trump, and RFK, a force that certainly can't lose. Nope. It would be, in my estimation, completely game over. Oh, speaking of game over, I got something to show you. Something that you never hear anybody talk about, except, some guy sitting in this chair talks about it quite often. It's 2:44. Trump is due to come on, and I'm monitoring to see if he walks out. As of yet, has not happened. I want you to check this out. I posted this earlier saying it really is a good versus evil election. It's been revealed. There's nothing else to wonder. It is a good versus evil election. Emerson College polling came out today. It said Trump leads Harris among Protestant voters 58-40, a huge 18-point margin. And under Roman Catholic voters, 60-39, a 21-point margin. He's crushing her with basically Christians. However, Harris leads among atheists and agnostics 84-13. And those with no religious affiliation, they support her 56-39. Could there be anything more clear of an indication that this is definitely good versus evil? There you have it. He is overwhelmingly the candidate of favor for people who have faith, and she's overwhelmingly for the candidate for those who don't. That's why they could have the ritualistic baby removals and have the blue bus pull up there and have all the transformers and a different kind of bathrooms and a different kind of prayer rooms. They can do all that because they don't care. Even more so now that this election has become so important for the future of this country. Her audience, as you just saw in these numbers, her audience, her supporters are atheists and agnostics. God help us. That's why these people are the way they are. They have nothing other than maybe their their prayer down to the evil one is why they do what they do. I mean, I saw this and I was shocked. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do we need anything more now to know what's going on in this country? That there are that many. Understand if the country is somewhat 50-50 split, if that's what we're looking at, if we're looking at, he's ahead by 2 or she's ahead by 3, or, which she can't be, because if you actually do the math at this point, you can actually see yourself, excuse me 1 second here, I'm working on the other computer, you can actually see yourself at this point that there's no possible way this race can be close. Can't. Not when you have that many people. 58-40 Protestant and 60-39 Catholic, which is a huge swing in the country. Nope, it's not close. And it's even more so why you need to get out there and talk to people about getting them to vote, because this is what they do believe. They need you to hate Donald. This is from Glenn Beck. They need you to hate Donald Trump more than inflation. They need you to hate Donald Trump more than open borders. They need you to hate Donald Trump more than fentanyl and drugs on our streets. They need you to hate Donald Trump more than children being killed by newcomers, or I'll add, trafficked by newcomers. They need you to hate Trump more than the homelessness epidemic. They need you to hate Trump more than the baby removal cult of death, which that's exactly what it is. They need you to hate Donald Trump more than the possibility of nuclear war. That's what a vote for Kamala Harris is actually all about. Nothing else matters. Don't worry about anything else. All we need to do is beat Donald Trump. We can't stand this man because he is for everything we are for against. That's their platform. Which Glenn Beck just put up there. That's it. They don't have to have anything else. As long as, they can do with their cultish baby removal and disposal and hate Trump and anti-God, that's it. That's who the audience is for the Democrat Party right now. That and other Christians who just don't understand that they've been hoodwinked and brainwashed. So we're waiting on Trump to come up. It's 2:49 at this point. The selfish party, yeah, they don't care about anything. What is this newcomer stuff, Barry? Karen, I can't say the word that you're correct. I will say that you are absolutely correct, but I cannot say that word. Not on this platform. The Democrats worship Satan. I know. Yeah, it's surely seems like it. Trump, a Trump vote is just common sense. I concur with that. Barry, you came out of nowhere on my feed about a month ago, and you are fantastic. Thank you. You're my daily dose of sanity, and I sincerely appreciate everything you're doing to both educate and encourage and hopefully entertain as well. I want you to feel very relaxed. Understand there's no pressure here. Just trying to give you information. This stuff about RFK Jr., go ahead and follow that. Understand what's happening with that, how it's going. Encourage his supporters. Get his supporters on board. Don't go out on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and talk crap to them. We need them. That would be so amazing if he and Trump would be able to align and understand there are certain differences. He's kind of wacky on the environmental stuff as far as I'm concerned, but he does have a base of 5 to 9% of people. That might be ambitious, 5 to 8, but if they came together and he brought his base to Trump, it's over. She can't. That would be too big to rig. She couldn't do anything about it. Democrats would freak out. They would try to do everything in their mind to stop that from happening. Let's see. Who said this? I'm glad that Senator McCain has not made an issue of my Muslim. Was that Barack? Barry, whatever made you get into this platform? If you're talking about YouTube, well, it's YouTube. And if you're talking about Trump, I've been a big Trump follower all the way back in basically when he came down the elevator. Actually, before that, I used to read his books, and since I got into real estate, of course, that was someone whose books I used to read and try to figure out how certain deals got done. The art of the deal. And then, just saw that my interest, my beliefs, for the most part, aligned with his, just like with RFK Jr. Not everything I believe does he believe, and not everything that he stands for do I stand for. I don't like some of the personal aspect of things, but I'm not here to judge. I'm here to vote for someone who's going to basically do the best for the country. What he's done personally, and what he may be continuing to do personally, is between he, his wife, and now, of course, his God. Since God opened his eyes, I think some things are going to change. I see a lot of people, and when you guys talk, I'm just checking to make sure that he hasn't come on yet. Some people say, oh, he looked tired the other day. I'm tired. Some of you may be tired. This is a hard task. We're fighting against forces, and he's fighting against forces that want him dead. I want everyone to understand that. Every time this man leaves his house, he is burdened by the fact that people want him dead. They don't want him out the race. Yeah, we'll want you out the race. We want your money. We want your property. We'll do whatever we can to ruin you. But we also want you dead. If you had that on your shoulders every time you walked out your front door, you probably wouldn't walk out your front door that much. In every person you're looking at, you have to be wondering, is it them? I don't know this person. I'm trusting my life into that person and this person. Could it be one of these people that are telling people what I'm doing? Could it? Just put yourself in that position. That other than Barron and Melania and Eric and Ivanka and a close-knit group of people, everybody on the outside of that group, you have to wonder if they want you dead. I've seen, and if I'm speaking from his perspective, I've seen people I've been close to turn around and do anything to stab me in the back. People like Omarosa, Anthony Scaramucci, my former Secretary of State. I mean, just go through the number of people who have turned their back on him and gone public with it. And I've gone through trial after trial after trial, and I'm keeping my head up because of you. I'm looking to make sure that your life is better. And what do I get for it? Well, the only thing I get for it is you, meaning your support. Again, I'm talking if I was Trump. You wanted my money, you wanted my business, you wanted my friends, you wanted my family, and you wanted to take my life. You have shown me you will do everything and anything to ruin me. But now he's got the first thing he has that we all know means the most. He has God. And as we saw in that chart, that seems to be what a lot of people are seeing even more so in him right now. He's being directed. So is he tired? Yeah, I bet he is. I bet he's extremely tired. I bet every single day it's him basically taking on this cross and going, I need to save America. Could you do it? Every single day? I don't know if I could. Every single day. And he tells you all the time, I could go play golf, live a great life, run a good business, enjoy my family, my grandkids. The other day I saw his granddaughter, the one who went on stage at the RNC, got a full scholarship to play golf at the University of Miami. Think about that. Now you got to lay your head down at night and say, my granddaughter's going to go to South Miami, down in Coral Gables, and she's going to play golf. Are there nut jobs that want to hurt her? Yeah, they're out there. So now I got to make sure she's okay as well. So, yeah, he's tired. I guarantee you he's tired. 78 years old, and I don't think it's the age. I just think it's the wear and tear at this point. But, yeah, God bless Trump, everything he's going through. I think people need to understand everything that this man is being subject to on a daily basis, knowing every time he steps out there could be the last time he steps out there. All the security in the world. You never know. You got an entire country of nut jobs that want to take him out, right? You heard about Iran. Iran has put a hit on him. Hey, please go get him. And we know these people will do suicide things and do all kinds of crazy things like that. So it could be... Yeah, that would terrify me if I was him. Absolutely terrify me. You're exact, and it's not about being right or wrong, Halen. The thing is, I try to let people put your feet in his shoes. I don't think any one of us have ever thought to ourselves, well, if I go to Publix today, which is our grocery store here, if I go to Publix, there might be somebody who wants to take a shot at me. No, it doesn't cross your mind. Only thing you can think of is how can I just navigate these people in line and get the hell out of here. But you don't really have to walk around going or have an entourage of 10 or 12 Secret Service guys. Imagine, at home, he probably, I don't know if he has a food taster like the king, but, am I eating my last meal? Is there something in here? Yeah, I'm tired. I need to save America. It's a tiring job. I pray for Trump and our country every day. Don't forget, Thursday night we're doing our prayer meeting here, so come on in. Remember how they attacked his granddaughter Kai after she spoke at the RNC? Yeah, beautiful young girl comes up on stage, pure as the sun-laced snow, just coming out to talk about her grandfather. Oh my God. You want to attack this woman too? Oh, this is white privilege. Oh yeah, who does she think she is? Man, I'm just someone's granddaughter. Can you just chill? Let's hear. My grandmother loves her Publix. Man, there's people down here who follow Publix and follow Publix's subs like they're a gift from God. I mean, Publix subs may put Subway out of business. That's how good they are down here. The way he has a team of food testers. Yeah, probably. Trump is an amazing man for such a time as this. And I think sometimes many of us just don't realize the weight that's on his shoulders. So when he comes up to a microphone and he seems somber, number one, you're talking about serious stuff. Number two, all the weight that, things that he has to think of. Number three, This is a man whose entire life has been, basically entertainment and celebrity, and you're walking out to a speech, not necessarily a rally, a speech, and you don't have that audience. This guy's used to having 40, 50,000 people screaming, and so when you deliver a line, you can hear how it works, what people how they react. And now you're just walking out to maybe 10 or 20 or 30 people here, and I'm going to tell you about a speech, and I basically have to read it off this teleprompter because it's of national security. Today's speech is about what is it today? Today is crime and safety. So he's going to be talking about crime and safety today, which are something he actually knows about, crime and safety, because they're first and foremost in his mind, not just for him, but his entire family. So he knows about crime. He can turn on the Democrat National Convention and look at what's going on outside in terms of keeping people safe. How long, if you've never been to a Trump rally, how long it takes to get in, because you got to go through so much security and the line snakes around, and you got to make sure nobody's carrying anything, all kinds of stuff. So it's 3:01. He still has not turned on yet, so we're waiting. We're waiting to see when he comes on. But yeah, give the guy a break. I assume he's tired, and this isn't easy. It's not easy stepping up to a microphone and basically talking for an hour. And you're not going to do that. Stop it. That's my dog out here growling again. But in any event, give him a break. The weight of the world is on his shoulders. Still have Winn-Dixie, but they're not as popular down here like Public. Yeah. I hope he mentions the walls and IDs at the DNC. Yep, everything they're doing to make sure that stays. Crazy. You can't even get into the DNC without an ID, but you can get across the border. Let's see. Oh, Travis killing trolls. Cool. DNC is indeed a poop show. Absolutely it is. Hey, Dark Warrior, thank you very much. Byron, speaking of poop show, Cuban sandwich from Publix it's dead on. Andy Bashir, who I think it was yesterday, said that J.D. Vance should have, I tried to say it right earlier, should have a female in his family go through what happens to women when guys jump on them uninvited. So he understands that if a woman gets pregnant from a man jumping on them uninvited, he would understand how it feels. He wished that upon another man's loved ones. In which, a bunch of us tweeted, dude, you need to apologize. You need to apologize immediately. The sickness of the Democrats is evident by the fact that he stepped out. Okay, I'm going to have to shut up because here he comes.
Incredible people outside. You saw the crowds. It was just incredible.
He just came on.
And we really feel good about the state and the...
Let me know if you guys can hear.
Just got a poll that was very good. Got a lot of good polls the last couple of days. Thank you to the Livingston County Sheriff's Department for welcoming us in such a beautiful way. This was a beautiful welcome. And these are great people. These are great people. And we have, in terms of law enforcement, just about every law enforcement group in the country has endorsed us, as you probably have heard. And there's a reason for that, because I believe in law enforcement. The other group doesn't. It's always an honor to be with our brave men and women in blue and in brown, frankly, and in various colors, because it's not always blue. But these are great people, and you just don't do better. They're brave. They're under assault, and they have a lot of difficulty with the laws of our land, and we're going to get rid of that difficulty because they shouldn't have difficulty. Our police, men and women, have the backs of law-abiding citizens every single day. They take care of what they have to do in some very adverse conditions, and when we go back to the White House, you're going to see support the likes of which you haven't seen certainly in 4 years. We worked very closely with the police all over the country, as you know, gave them billions of dollars of excess military equipment that was in warehouses all over the country that the Obama administration refused to give. and it was just drawing dust, magnificent equipment, but it was just getting old, sitting in warehouses. And I hope you guys got some of it, right? Did you? Because I gave it, and it was billions and billions, and it was nothing going to happen with it except the government was paying lots of rents all over the country for big warehouses. And it was an honor to have done it, and it helped a lot of the departments very, very much. I want to thank Livingston County Sheriff Mike Murphy. Mike, thank you. Thank you. Where is he? Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. What a great job. So respected. All of them. This group is highly respected. Mason County Sheriff Kim Cole. Kim, thank you. Van Buren County Sheriff Daniel Abbott. Thank you, Daniel. President of the Police Officers Association of Michigan, James Tiganelli. James? Picking the wrong side. Where he is? Where are you? Come on over here, James. Let's go. Get over here. Come on. Is he allowed to stand with you guys? I don't know. Stand up there, James. How are you? Thank you, James. Representatives John James and John Molinar. These are great warrior people. Wherever you are. Where's John James? There they are. Oh, look at you guys. You don't get the best location because you want your constituents to be treated so well, right? Huh? Thank you both very much. We appreciate it. Done a great job. Your next U.S. Senator, he's really working hard, and I just saw a poll that doing very well. Mike Rogers. Mike? Thank you, Mike. Congressional candidate Paul Young, who is polling beautifully, I think. Paul, good luck. Good luck, Paul. You're going to do it. And Michigan House Republican leader Matt Hall. Matt, thanks. Oh, thanks, Matt. Great. You look the role, Matt. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Matt. Hey, you're right. That'll be next, right? Thank you very much. Michigan Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt. Eric. Thank you, Eric. Great. Nice seeing you again. Doing a good job. We're here today to talk about how we are going to stop the Kamala crime wave that is going on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And she is, as you know, the most radical left person ever even thought of for a high office, certainly for the office of president. People don't know the real Kamala, but I do, and people that do what I do, they also know. But she is so far left that nobody can even imagine, and her real thoughts are there. You know, she's changed. They call her a flip-flopper at the highest level that they've ever seen in politics because she's come out with policy and for years defund the police. You don't mind defunding, do you, fellas? Would you vote for a defunder? Would you vote? By the way, your people that you protect don't want defunders either. But she's been that until just recently, but she's always been for defunding the police. And the person that she's running with, Tim Walz, is equally far left. This is the most far left group. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And the press is giving them a free pass, and you're not going to have, if it was up to them, you wouldn't even have the men behind me, people behind me, representatives behind me. You wouldn't have them. They wouldn't have a job. They think it's going to just police itself. Everything's going to take care of itself. Her father is, as you know, a Marxist professor, and he obviously did a good job. But this is where she's coming from. And, you know, you see her now with a smile, and she's gotten rid of the laugh over the last couple of days. I don't know. I haven't seen her laugh. They've told her, don't laugh, please. But I'll bet inside she was laughing last night when she saw the way Joe Biden left, because that was a coup. That was a coup. And I'm no fan of his at all. And it started with the debate, and from that point on, it just got worse and worse. But that was a coup. It was a vicious, violent overthrow of a president of the United States. Since Comrade Kamala Harris took office, her administration's crime statistics show she's presided over a 43% increase in violent crime. These are all government numbers. 43% increase in violent crime. I'll bet the people behind me don't have anything like that. It just gets better, it doesn't get worse. Including a 58% increase in rape, 89% increase in aggravated assault, and a 56% increase in robbery. The crime in America, the fact is out of control. I watched last night in amazement as they tried to pretend that everything was great, the crime was great, the border was great, there wasn't a problem at all, no inflation, no nothing. There has been a report that the job numbers over the last period of time were fraudulent, and I understand that because I know how the job numbers go, and if you want to be a bad person in high office, you can be a bad person, but the numbers are going to be revised, that the job numbers were far less, at nobody's ever seen, if the 600,000 to 1 million people less, jobs less. And let's see if that turns out to be true, but that's what the rumor is. It was reported by a very respected outfit group, and we'll see what happens. But that's a terrible insult to our economy, because we were seeing numbers that were okay, not great, but now we're seeing numbers that, when they're adjusted, are a disaster. But crime in America is out of control. I'm going to make it, along with the economy, inflation, strong borders, and energy dominance, my top priority. I'm including crime in America. You know, normally that's done locally, and we're going to give the local people a lot of help, like I did initially, but not that much. We had a lot of great numbers coming out when I was president. Now we're seeing numbers that are just absolutely horrific. The Democrats are holding their convention in Chicago in order to showcase it. And yet, as you know, on 4th of July weekend, 117 people were shot. Of the 117, 17 were killed. This is 4th of July weekend, and 40 were shot last weekend. I don't know how many were killed, but assume a lot. And that's a war zone. That's worse than Afghanistan that we read about all the time. Speaking of Afghanistan, the worst and most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion. We left 13 dead soldiers, 47 obliterated, just obliterated, the arms, the legs, the face. Left people behind, and we left $85 billion worth of equipment behind for the Taliban to use as it sees fit. And they're selling a lot of it because they don't need 700,000 guns and rifles. They don't need 72,000 armor-plated vehicles. They're one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world right now. They're selling our equipment because they said, by the way, would have never happened with me. Abdul would never have done that. But they said, we didn't have anybody shot after my conversations with the leader of the Taliban. 0 shot in 18 months. We had nobody lost in 18 months. He knew that he was not going to do that. I knew that. But now you look at what's happened, and it's back. You know, we would have kept Bagram. That's the big air base. Not because of Afghanistan, but because it's located 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So it's 1 hour away, and we had it, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We built it for billions and billions of dollars many years ago. Got the biggest runways, the biggest everything, and we just walked away from it, gave it to them, and now China's occupying it. And I thought that the scene a few days ago of the 3rd anniversary, they call it the defeat of America, was one of the ugliest scenes that I've seen on television in a long time. I've seen some pretty bad ones, so have you. We're witnessing some pretty bad ones. They had a parade where the parade was all of our equipment, a lot of our equipment, brand new, beautiful, armor-plated trucks coming down a road, and people cheering. Not that many people cheering, actually, but there were people cheering. But they were making us look very bad because we have a fool as a president. They lied last night about things that nobody's ever seen. They lied about soldiers. at a gravesite. They lied about Charlottesville. They lied about inflation. The inflation's been absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. And everyone knows that we had virtually no inflation. They had 9%, but that wasn't including some of the things that went up more than anything else. They gave themselves a pass. But mothers will no longer be losing their children because of weak liberal policies and politicians that have given up on securing a crime-free America. We want a crime-free America. We're going to stop violent crime in the United States. And it's people like this that can do the job better than anybody. They do the job justly and fairly, but there's nobody like these people. Thank you. Thank you, please. There's nobody like them, so they can do it. They have to be given back their rights and their dignity. They have to be allowed to do their job. We're going to be guaranteeing immunities and and I'm not looking necessarily just here, but we have police in various areas that are pretty rough areas. If they do their job, if they're diligent in doing their job, they go after the police officer rather than the criminal. They lose their house, they lose their pension, they lose their family, they lose everything. They lose everything. And we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. Over the past 4 years, the Marxist left has waged a vicious war on law enforcement in our country. They've taken away the dignity and the spirit and the life of some of these police officers, and that's why you see it. The crime is so out of control in our country. I mean, you have cities, I will say this, the top 25, almost all are run by Democrats, and they have very similar policies. It's just insane. But you can't walk across the street to get a loaf of bread. You get shot, you get mugged, you get raped, you get whatever it may be. And you've seen it, and I've seen it. And it's time for a change. We have to bring back our cities. We have these cities that are great cities where people are afraid to live in them now. They're fleeing the cities of our country, what we would consider, what we did consider. You know, interestingly, like New York, when I left for Washington, New York we had a very bad mayor, de Blasio, but he wasn't there that long, and he couldn't ruin what took place. But we had a city that was so wonderful and so thriving, and just in a few short years, that changed. New York State is doing terribly. I heard the governor last night speaking so viciously and violently about me, but she doesn't speak about what they've done to destroy the state. The law enforcement has been decimated. The judges, what's gone on with the judges in New York, there's no justice. We're not getting justice in New York. And yet she speaks so bravely about things that she shouldn't be speaking about. But you look at radical liberal Kamala Harris. She's been the ringleader for this anti-crime and the anti-police crusade. It's a real anti-police crusade. They just have it out for the police. Nobody knows why. I don't understand why from a common sense. I like to say the Republican Party is now the party of common sense. Conservative, yeah, I guess conservative. It doesn't matter. It's the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have strong police protection. We want a military that can protect us. We want great schools, school choice, ideally. We want to have a good life. We want to be safe. But let's review Kamala's pro-crime, anti-police record. She repeatedly endorsed defunding the police, which I said, and it's at a level and it never goes away. You know, when you're a defunder or when you are even a politician, your first thought usually is the thought that you go with. If she ever had a chance, she would do whatever she could to defund the police, because that's where her spirit is, that's where her heart is. And we can't have a president like that. She sponsored a bill to strip police officers of legal protection. leaving you at the mercy of the lawless Marxist prosecutors who want to lock up police officers for sport. They lock them up, in many cases, long before they lock up the criminal. And they go after them, too, violently. They don't go after the criminals. Murderers are released 2 hours after the murder. She wants to bankrupt the police unions. He wants to destroy policemen in general. And they ruin your lives, your jobs, and they ruin everything you've lived for, everything you've felt that you want to make great. You want to make our country great. When I'm president of the United States again, we will never even think about or mention the words defund the police. We'll never think about that again. It's got to be put away. It's a bad situation. It's a bad concept. The concept is so chilling and so horrible to think that. What we should be thinking about is the opposite of defunding, refunding, you call it. We'll refund, but we want to help the police. They have a very dangerous job. And lately I see if somebody, I was with a great family a few months ago, opens the door to a car and gets shot. And they have all sorts of protection for the people in the car. You can't have your gun even close to being drawn. You don't know what's happening. A lot of the windows are dark, so you don't know who's in there. But the door opens and just gets shot. Great police officer. In many, many cases, it's a dangerous business, and we have to give them protection, and we have to give them love and respect, and that's what we're going to do. We were doing it, and they're not doing it now. We'll give our law enforcement heroes the kind of protection and the resources that they so dearly deserve, and I will crack down on local Marxist DAs who refuse to enforce the law. They refuse to put murderers in jail. And you see it all over as the district attorney. Kamala Harris was one of the worst and one of the first Marxist prosecutors in America. She said that, and some people said she was the godmother of both sanctuary cities, because this was a while ago. This was when it all started. And that horrible shoplifting epidemic, she shielded illegal alien crack dealers from deportation. She fought like hell to have crack dealers not deported. She came up with the concept of $950 and below. You don't even get prosecuted. $950. So guys are walking into stores with calculators to figure out, did you know that? They have calculators. They're adding it up. They want to make sure they're under $950. But it didn't matter because they didn't prosecute the ones that went over either. She ignored the pleas of victims, families, members, and refused to seek the death penalty against, as an example, an illegal alien MS-13 gang member. These are the worst gangs in the world, who murdered an innocent man and his two sons for absolutely no reason. They said, "Why did you do it?" He said, "I felt like it. I felt like it." So when Kamala, until recently, was called a Marxist prosecutor, she didn't even disclaim the title. She sort of liked it. As the California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as a nonviolent crime. All of them were redefined by her as nonviolent. Kamala Harris supports abolishing cash bail nationwide. Cash bail has been a disaster. When you abolish the no cash, don't worry about cash. You murdered somebody, don't worry about it. That was really the beginning of problems for New York, big problems for New York, but elsewhere also. But it means releasing violent criminals immediately after arrest. No money involved. Don't worry about it. Go home. Enjoy yourself. Many of them disappear. You never find them again. Many of them immediately start killing again. It's just a crazy situation. She supports ending jail sentences for parole violators. She considers a parole violation not to be serious when the violent mobs of looters and anarchists tried to burn down Minneapolis in 2020. Kamala Harris raised money for bail, to bail out the arsonists and the rioters and the killers. People were killed. Many people were killed. Compare that to J6. Nobody was killed. Nobody was killed. There weren't fires set. They burned down the city. They were burning down Minneapolis. And she went out, and not only did she work a little bit with them, she worked a lot with them. She worked to get them out and to make them, to set them free. One of the criminals Kamala helped bail out of jail was Sean Michael Tillman, one of the worst, a dangerous repeat offender, had a horrible record of violence. With Kamala's help, she was set free. He was set free. He soon went on to murder a man on a train platform for no reason whatsoever in St. Paul, shooting him 6 times in the head and in the torso. No reason whatsoever. What's the reason? No reason. Just felt like it. Kamala Harris will deliver crime, chaos, destruction, and death. If she's allowed to be the president of the United States, you'll see levels of crime that you've never seen before. I will deliver law, order, safety, and peace, and I will protect those who protect us. These people protect us. These are unbelievable people. They protect us. We have to protect them. We have to give them hope, because so many are leaving the forces. I can't speak for this group because I'd love to work for them. I would be joining them in 2 minutes. It looks like a nice job. They look, because they've handled themselves and crime and everything else in a stern way, and it's probably a lot easier to do. Maybe we should switch them, move them around to different territories of your state or of our nation, and let some other guys take. Would you like that, fellas? I have a feeling you don't want that. I don't want to embarrass it. I don't want to say any particular names of locations, but I can think of a big one in this state. I'd love to have them working there during the election. I can tell you, but they have it. They have it all very much under control, and that's the way it should be. So we're going to make a record investment in hiring, retention, and training of police officers. We're losing tremendous numbers of police officers. These are men and women that want to be police officers, and they're just leaving. We're going to get you reinforcements, and we're not going to be doing the negative, like let's pay them much less, or let's defund entirely. Let's pay them. There's a movement on now, we won't defund, but we'll pay them much less money. No, it's, I've never realized how dangerous a job it was. I have some papers here where, if you watch the event last night, this is, by the way, my all-time favorite chart, which is, because if you've watched last night, you wouldn't know the border was so bad. This was right here, this arrow on the bottom, lowest ever. This is made by Border Patrol. That's the lowest ever we had for illegal aliens coming into our country. And that was the week I left office. That's the lowest ever. Now, this chart is very dear to my heart for another reason. This was the chart. I said, let me see it. But it says a lot. And we had a couple of instances last night where things were mentioned, so I got it. Did crime rise under Trump and fall under Biden? They said it rose under Trump and they go, no, the opposite is true. Take a look at this here. It said, is it true? Did crime rise under Trump and fall under Biden? No, comma, the opposite is true. This was a study group that went out and doesn't care. They do the numbers. And there was another one, that a historical comparison of the collapse of law enforcement in U.S. cities. The drop in arrest rates over the last few years is without precedent. Lowest arrest rates we've ever seen. They don't arrest people anymore. And they shouldn't arrest people for saying the election was rigged, but they like that. They go after guys like me, but they don't go after people that kill people. It's a shame what's happened in our country, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to win big, and we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. Thank you. Thank you. We'll bust up and dismantle the gangs, savage criminal networks, and bloodthirsty cartels, and we will stop the fentanyl, and we'll make sure that Kamala Harris has, and all of the people that she's allowed to come across the border. Don't forget, she was the border czar, whether she wants to hear it or not. She still is. You're right. Thank you. In fact, you could do it right now. You know, they like to talk, it's all nonsense, that Donald Trump stopped a bill. I was opposed to it, so was everyone else. It was the weakest bill. Under that bill, millions of people would have been allowed to come in. This was a weak bill. But you didn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I said, close the border. And that's how we got to those numbers, the lowest ever recorded. I said, close the border. I didn't have a bill. I didn't need a bill. She doesn't need a bill. Biden doesn't know where he is. So where is he? Whatever happened to him? He got out. He got out. He's now sunbathing. He's in a beach someplace. But all he would have to do as president, or her, is say, close up the border. And it's closed. But they don't want to close the border, because when they first took over, I had built hundreds of miles of wall, and I had 200 miles of wall in addition to what I said I was going to do, because certain areas needed it. As we closed areas, other areas became very, very strong in terms of people wanting to come through. So I bought 200 additional miles. It would have taken them about 3 weeks to erect it. We were all set to erect it. Then we had a terrible election take place, terrible election, and everybody here knows that. And I realized that they don't want to do it. And they actually sold that, and that was designed to the highest specifications of, when you look at the steel, it's concrete, 5,000-pound concrete inside, and then rebar. And it also has a lot of technology, wires and things in it for high technology. It was designed to the highest specs of the Border Patrol. I wanted actually concrete plank. I would have done a beautiful job with precast, like you have in parking garages, long span. It's called long span precast, but they had to be able to see through. I understand that. They needed certain things that you can't do with concrete plank. So we did that, and very expensive to do because you needed all sorts. In other words, they wanted the steel, they wanted the concrete. It's all different methods of, very hard to cut it, very hard to do it when you have different substances, and then very powerful rebar inside. And what happened is, as soon as they came in, they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. They sold this stuff for somebody made a lot of money because that steel is very valuable, but they sold all of that, hundreds of miles of stuff. You saw it stacked up for a long period of time, where they stacked it up in an area because Texas wanted to use it and finish the job. We built hundreds of miles, but Texas wanted it. They would have paid for it. They didn't. They refused to sell it to Texas. They refused to sell it to Arizona, and they refused to sell it to anybody. They sold it to the junkyards, I guess, and 5 cents on the dollar. On day one, I will seal the border. I will stop the invasion. We had the border sealed. I had Mexico. I had thousands of soldiers from Mexico, free of charge. I said to the president, you must give us soldiers because they're coming through. The caravans are coming through your country. No, I cannot do that. I said, yes, you'll do that. If you don't do that, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars. And he said, I will do that, sir. And he did it. He did it very quickly. And it really, that you guys heard all about it, made a great difference. We had thousands of Mexican soldiers guarding our border. I said, look, they're coming through your country. You have to guard your southern border, which is their border on the other side. And all of a sudden they started, and we had Remain in Mexico. It's called a Remain in Mexico policy, which we never had. And they stayed in Tijuana, different places, hundreds of thousands of people. They didn't come into our country until they were checked. And then if they were good, we let them in. If they weren't, we wouldn't let them in. And we worked well with Mexico, actually, but now Mexico has really taken advantage of our country. They want billions of dollars just to talk. They wouldn't say that with me. They wanted, I think, $2 billion to talk, right? We will talk. We want $2 billion before we even start. That wouldn't happen with me. I would say, oh, really? Is that right? That's the end of trade with Mexico. And they would say, sir, we will give you $2 billion. How about that? So I'll send Kamala's illegal aliens back home where they belong. We have a problem because When I came in, they wouldn't accept MS-13 gang members. I told the generals we're going to get the gang members out. ICE and Border Patrol, the job these people do, but ICE would go into the country, get the MS-13 gang members out, the meanest, the most vicious. They kill people with knives. They killed 2 young students walking to school, 2 beautiful young 16-year-old girls walking to school. They killed them up and chopped them up into pieces with knives, dead. And ICE goes in and they go into those packs of rough people. And ICE is rougher than they are. These are incredible, brave patriots. A lot of people wouldn't want that job. You see fists and feet, you see everything flying, and then 2 minutes later they stand up and they grab them and they throw them into what they used to call a paddy wagon. They put them into planes, they take them out. The countries wouldn't take them back under President Obama. And I said, really, they're not going to take them back? Well, if they're not going to take them back, I'm going to stop paying them. I said, how much money do we pay these countries? El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and others. I said, how much money do we pay? $750 million. I said, good, inform them we're not paying them anymore. And the following morning, I got calls from all of these countries. Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. We would love to take them back. We would love to have MS-13. We would love to have MS-13 back in our country. It would be a great honor to have them back. And, you know, before we get too far, and we're almost finished, but before we get too far, I want to tell you that we have criminals from all over the world pouring into our country right now. Your job will never be obsolete, you know. It will never be obsolete, unfortunately. It would be nice if we could have peace, but we're not going to have peace. And this is something we're going to have to live with for a long time. She has allowed millions of people, open border, to flow into our country totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And they come from jails and prisons, slightly different. They come from mental institutions, all over the world. This isn't just in South America. People think it's South America. It's from Africa, Asia, the Middle East. A lot of people coming from the Congo in Africa, the Congo. Rough. And they're prisoners. They're prisoners. And we say, where do you come from? Africa. Where in Africa? Prison. What did you do? We don't want to say. They turn out to be murderers. These are rough people, and we're allowing them into our country from all over the world. From South America, yes, but from all over the world. They come from insane asylums, and many are terrorists. So we have prisoners, mental patients, mental institution patients, terrorists pouring into our country, totally unchecked, unvetted. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world. We know where they are approximately, but we don't know too much, but we know they're the worst. We have the worst terrorists in the world pouring into our country. And she's the president and wants to be the president of the United States. She's vice president. She could do it. She's in charge of the border. She could have closed up the border. She should have closed it up. They could have told Mexico, if you don't do it, we're not going to do something. We're not going to have trade. We're not going to deal with you. We're not going to let you sell your cars into the United States at these ridiculous, they took 32% of our car industry over many years. They took it out of Detroit. They took it out of different places, but they took it, and they took it big from this state, from South Carolina, from a lot of different places. They took 32%, and I think now the number is bigger. You know, I don't know if you know that they're building some of the biggest car plants in the world right now in Mexico. Wouldn't have happened with me. Right now in Mexico. And China's the one building them, and they think they're going to make these cars and then release them into the United States without tax. It's not going to happen. We'll put 100% to a 200% tariff. We're not going to let it happen because all of our jobs from your state will be gone. And I watched this union head. He's an incompetent guy. He's approving for what he did, for what he's allowed. Every job, every auto worker here will be out of a job within 3 years if I'm not elected. Every auto worker in the state, they're all going to be made in China. They're going to an all-electric policy. Well, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any country in the world, but we don't have for what you need for an electric car. But China does, and its territories do, and we're not going to let it happen. But they're building some of the biggest plants, and I have a friend who builds plants. It's some of the biggest in the world, think he's doing them, are being built in Mexico. And they're going to sell cars, produce them and sell them in this country with no tax. It's not going to happen. And I told him, I said, you better hope I don't win. Always dangerous to say these things. Maybe that's why I get shot at and other people don't. Right, John James? That's probably why I get shot at. Other people, they'll protect other people because they can't believe they got so lucky. But I have to do what I have to do. I have to do the right thing. The border czar, Kamala Harris, has allowed hordes of illegal alien criminals to literally stampede into our country. We're going to end that on day one. We're going to close our border. We're going to get all of the bad ones out. And we're going to get them out fast. In Shelby Township, Michigan, earlier this year, a 32-year-old, previously deported illegal alien monster, was arrested for repeatedly sexually assaulting a young girl under the age of 13. Local law enforcement described the crimes as absolutely horrific and says he had many other victims, including death is involved. Death. Young girls. In St. Joseph County, Michigan, an illegal alien was recently charged with breaking into a home and sexually assaulting two very little girls, very badly assaulting. In Mississippi, just days ago, an illegal alien child predator was charged with raping a 10-year-old boy, and there are other cases where they were raping 10-year-old boys and girls, and in many cases they were dead, they were killed. Last week in Coney Island, 2 Kamala migrants were arrested for the rape of a 46-year-old woman who's loved by so many people, throwing her to the ground and raping her over and over again, and then working her over with a knife to her throat. One of them had previously been arrested for raping another woman, but he was shielded from deportation by the New York City sanctuary laws, which Kamala strongly supports. She wants it very much. The woman said, he didn't want to rape me, he wanted to kill me. She thought she was dead. She survived, but she thought she was dead. She said, he didn't want to rape me, he wanted to kill me. This is what we're allowing into our country. These are, and then you hear, oh no, the people coming in, they're much less violent than the people here. That's not right. They're much more violent. And that, they make a hat. Sheriff, they make a hat. And I don't want to brag, but it says Trump was right about everything. And if you look, whether it's the border, this, I've been right about everything, unfortunately. I wish I wasn't. So when I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of our American suburbs, our cities and towns. And I think that women living in the suburbs, I keep hearing about the suburban woman doesn't like Trump. Well, I think it's a fake poll, because why would they like me? I keep the suburbs safe. I stopped low-income towers from rising right alongside of their house, and I'm keeping the illegal aliens away from the suburbs. I think that they like me a lot. I think it's a lot of fake polls. We've seen a lot of fake polls over the years. I was not supposed to win anything, and we won the big one. We won it and did a lot better the second time than we did the first. But women want to have safety. They want to have a strong military. They want to have a strong police force. They want to be in their house and they want to be safe. They don't want to have people pouring into their doors and you can't do anything about it, right? So I think that's the number one thing. I hope they like my personality. I have a nice personality, but to me it wouldn't be very important, the personality. They want to be safe. And they want people like this happy, and they want people like this taken care of properly, because those are the people that keep them safe. So we'll shut down all deadly sanctuary cities throughout the country, because all they do is they shield criminals. I mean, they basically shield criminals from prosecution. I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement. We're going to put a lot of immigration enforcement. We're going to close down the border day one. And we are going to, just so you understand, I am not a radical at all. I'm just a common sense person that was successful in what I did because of the same thing. We are going to let people, and we want people to come into our country. A lot of people. We need them. We need them for jobs. We need them for everything. We want people to come in, but they have to come in through a process. They have to come in legally. And we can let a lot of them come in, but John, we want them to come in to our country legally. We don't want to let people come in who murdered 19 people, and then you hire that person in a plant, and all of a sudden you notice that people are being killed all over town. We want them to come in legally. On day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country, bigger than Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight Eisenhower was he was sort of a moderate person, but he hated when people poured into our country, and he was very strong on deportation. We will remove all criminal aliens immediately. All of the criminals, we start with that. We're going to get them out of here fast. Nothing good is going to happen with thousands of terrorists being in our country. You know, we had 1 month where Border Patrol was actually does a chart, and I don't believe this. I love it in a certain way, but I don't. They said in 2019, zero terrorists came in. Now, I don't believe that, but it's an awfully good statistic. But it was very few that came in. We were very tough on that. We had everybody checked so carefully. And they added, actually in 2019, they had zero. Now you have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. Thousands of terrorists. These are the people that blew up the World Trade Center. Bad things will happen. And if I'm elected, we're going to get them the hell out of here. We're going to get them out of here fast, very fast. And I told you that that other countries who really they put their people into groups. They send them up here, and by the thousands. The caravans, I think it was the name that I came up with. I don't know. Maybe somebody will say he's lying about that. Somebody else used the term 14 days earlier, but we came up because it just seemed like an appropriate term. It's a caravan of thousands of people. We have one caravan coming up right now, thousands of people that go right into the country. But I call these, they wouldn't take the MS-13 people back or other criminals back. And the general said, we're just not able to do it, sir, because they won't take them back. They'd put planes on the runways so that you couldn't land the plane. They'd block up the bus lane so you couldn't bring the buses, and you couldn't get them back. And when I told them that they wouldn't get any more money, I said, let them know they're delinquent. They broke in the deal. We're not going to get any more money. We paid them for years, hundreds of millions of dollars. The next morning, all three countries called me, like clockwork, separately. Sir, is there a misunderstanding? I understand that perhaps you would like to talk to us. I said, yeah, you're sending people into, and they're sending them, by the way. They don't want them. They're sending them. All of the countries are sending them. And now they're coming in because of her, because she's so pathetic and weak at the border. The worst job, the worst border czar in history, I can tell you that. Whether she's a czar or just in charge of the border, it doesn't matter. But they're sending them in levels that we've never seen before. And they're destroying our country. But they all said, all three, it was almost like identical conversations. It was, sir, is there anything we can do to make up for this misunderstanding? I said, yep. You take your MS-13 and you take your gang members and you take your criminals and your drug dealers. We're sending them back, and we're sending them back today. And we sent thousands and thousands of people back. This has stopped for years. Under Bush it stopped, and under Obama it stopped. But this had been taking place for years, and I only found out about it. I said, that's good, get them out. I don't want to put them in our jails, because we put them in our jails. What are we going to do? Keep them for 50 years, 60 years, and the expense? The really bad ones, we did do that, though, however, because, we don't want them coming back. But all of them said, sir, we would be delighted to take MS-13 back. This would be a great honor. They're such lovely people. And we took them out by the thousands. We took MS-13 ICE, took MS-13 out of our country by the thousands and thousands, and they received them, and that's the way. It's just another little story, but it's a story that's very important, because I can't see a guy like Biden making that call. Can you? Do you think Biden thinks at night, gee, how are we going to get MS-13 out? He doesn't know he's alive. He didn't know he's alive. And this one is just a Marxist. I mean, she's a Marxist communist person, and we're not ready for a communist president, okay? We're not ready for it. We're going to destroy our country. Under my leadership, no community will be surrendered to violent criminals. No citizen will be abandoned to migrant crime. We have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's probably more vicious than the crime that we already have, which is pretty vicious. These people are vicious, and please don't let anyone convince you that our criminals and we have more crime. They are sending massive number of criminals. And you've heard me say this before, Venezuela crime is down 72%. 72, because they've taken their criminals out of Caracas. They've taken their criminals out of all of their cities, all of their areas, all of the country, and they're sending them to us. And I'm amazed that they're not doing it quicker, to be honest with you. It's happening fast. They're also emptying out the jails. And this is true all over the world. They're emptying out their prisons, and they're taking their criminals from off the streets. They're taking their drug dealers, and their crime rates are down at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And everyone says, oh, so-and-so's doing a great job running in such a country. No, they're not. They're just very intelligent. I would do it if I were them. I would do it much faster. I can't believe they still have some left. But their jails are getting to be very empty. And what they're doing is they're literally dropping them in. They're busing them in, and they're bringing them in. And they're saying, don't ever come back. If you come back, you get the death penalty. Or if you come back, you get killed. Don't ever come back. And you see the crime statistics are unbelievable. If you look at the jails are... They've never been so low in terms of world. I'm talking all over the world, because they're sending their criminals to the United States of America, and they're saying, don't ever come back, and their jails are being emptied, and their criminals are being taken off the streets, and their crime rates are plummeting. But that's what we want for our country. So we're sending those people back, and these are the people that can do it. So we're going to have a reformed Department of Justice. We'll once again be a friend and partner to our great local police and police officers general. And we'll be working with victims of crime very closely, but we'll not be working with the criminals that commit the crime. We're going to change it around. Right now, the criminal has a lot more respect within our Department of Justice than the victims. We're going to be working with the victims. We're going to get the gangsters, the drug dealers, the dangerous offenders behind bars, and we're going to get them ideally out of our country, ideally, except in extreme cases. We have some extreme cases where they've murdered many people, and in that case, we want to make sure they're away. But the amount of crime that we have is unbelievable, and the lack of crime that these other places, it just makes so much sense, doesn't it? That's all common sense, too. They're taking their criminals and they're bringing them to the United States, and they look so great. And cities like Caracas, which was a very dangerous place to be, these are cities that have opened up. They have new life, but our country is suffering. And you know, they just got here over the last 2 years, mostly over the last couple of years during this administration, during our great border czar, who wants to be our president. They'll be laughing. Watch, President Xi will be laughing. Putin will be laughing. They'll all be laughing. By the way, the war with Russia would have never started with Ukraine, would have never started if I was president. October 7th would have never happened. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. This is a very dangerous time that we're in. It's dangerous in terms of crime and all, but it's very dangerous in terms of a possible World War III. We're very close to World War III, and people don't realize it. We're closer than we've ever been, I think, ever since World War II, but this would be the war of wars because of weaponry. This isn't, as I say, two army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. The level of power, the level of weaponry that there is in the world today is so bad. It's so dangerous. It's so bad. And you need the right person to be president. You know, we had no war when I was president, except that I totally defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Everyone said it would take 5 years. It took me like about 4 weeks, because we have a great military. We have great generals, not the ones you see on television, not the ones that did the Afghanistan botchery, but we have great military people. I know them, and they're never going woke. You know, you keep hearing our military is going woke. The top people would like to see it, but it's never going to. These are not people. Just like these people will never be. Do you promise you'll never be woke? I don't see a lot of wokeness. There's not a lot of wokeness. I don't think so. But we're going to stand up for law-abiding citizens of America. We're going to be really, I think, an inspiration to the world. But we have to start by remedying a situation that was caused by somebody that right now is running for president of the United States. She would be a disaster as president. I love our country. I didn't need this. I didn't have to do this. I didn't need to get indicted by any time I fly over a state. They indict you. I got indicted more than the great Alphonse Capone, right? For nothing. My father's looking down. My mother's looking down. He was such a good boy. I don't know what happened. But I didn't need this. I had a beautiful life. But to me, I wouldn't change it for the world, because we're going to take this country, we're going to make it safe again, and we're going to make America great again. And I want to thank everybody for being here, and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
I couldn't hear the
Who was
question.
here in 2021? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I couldn't hear what the question was, but whatever it was, he put it right on Joe Biden, and everybody that was there basically understood exactly what he was saying. Who was here in 2021? And they went, oh, yeah, okay, that was the answer to the question, but I couldn't hear what the question was. So very interesting. Some notes I had. He talked about refunding the police instead of defunding the police, basically putting more money into police departments both locally and nationally. A lot of people in the comments and in the chat were talking about the softness of his voice, the clarity, what he was saying. He looked tired. This isn't a rally. This is a speech. And if I had to take notes, and I've got about 12 different things that I caught that he put out there, and I didn't catch everything. Same thing for the reporters. Same thing for you. There were a number of initiatives that he talked about, and it's not like a rally where you can scream him. He wants you to hear every single word. Does he look tired? I already addressed that early. Obviously, you could tell by the couple times he kind of pumped up. He's not tired. He was trying to be subdued to get a message across. Interesting here, first time I've heard him talk about it this way, when he talked about the assassination attempt. He got a little animated, and for the first time he has spoken about it this way, he intimated that there might have been a problem with the Secret Service and who may have been involved. And I kind of my eyes just peaked up when he said that, because there's obviously information that he's getting which is a lot different than what's being released, and people are starting to, at least he is starting to see this may have been somewhat conspiratorial. God help us if that comes out. If they find out that, it was an inside job after all of this, all hell's going to break loose. Something that came out yesterday was that the shot that killed the assassin, the so-called assassin, was actually by a local cop, not Secret Service. So the Secret Service didn't take the guy out. Maybe that's why all of a sudden he's got a different tone about things. Because all his speeches since then, he said, oh yeah, the Secret Service guy took him out with one shot from 400 yards away, and he did a great job. And it came out yesterday, no, it wasn't the Secret Service. It was local police. So somebody gave him wrong information, and they've been giving the country, the nation, wrong information, thinking that the Secret Service was sniper took him out, which isn't true. So understanding that his voice is different because he's trying to nail so many points. In this regard, he didn't have a teleprompter, so he had notes, which makes it even harder because you've got, like I'm doing right now, I have to refer to my notes and I look up and I can make my point based upon what I see. He mentioned this term a number of times, common sense. Because what we're seeing with the Democrats is absolute insanity. There's nothing sensical about what they're saying, what they're doing. From the financial aspect of things, she's completely lost it. $25,000 giveaway to first-time homeowners, regardless of who they are, even if they're newcomers. Price fixing and price control, insane. Raising taxes, insane. Nothing what she's doing is of common sense. And then today, they want to do this new Citizenship Act where they let everybody in, no matter what your background, including criminal, including possible human trafficking, and including gang members. Want to give them all immediate citizenship. That's one of the reasons why I don't think this is even true. That's why I think her entire campaign is a head fake. There is no common sense. It's insane. Of course, he has said many times that he's up for legal immigration versus illegal immigration, which is obvious because as a son of a person who came in through the front door, of course we want legal immigration. My heritage, my father, 3 uncles, my grandmother, all came from Jamaica years and years and years ago. Cousins, aunts, all kinds of people. But they all had to do it the right way. They all had to go through and take the classes and do everything else. Then my father obviously joined the Army. Something else that I've begun noticing in the chat, and I'm keeping my eye on it as much as possible, and I'm looking at this, and that whole thing about suburban women don't like Trump. And I am married to a suburban woman. She's sitting out there. And I know how she thinks. I know what she feels. There are two things that I know actually they're both the same thing. A woman wants. And I'm not talking about anything, you know what. I'm talking to the core of the female mindset. They want stability and safety. Those are the two things, stability and safety. So when they're saying that suburban women don't like Trump, I've talked to my wife about that, and I'm like, what is it about Trump? I want to feel safe. I want my family across the country to feel safe. I want to have stability. I don't like all the stuff that these Democrats are talking about. And I've been noticing over the probably last 60 days with some of the stuff we've been seeing, I'm seeing more and more people in the chat, more and more women in the chat who are talking about exactly that. You may not like some of the stuff he did personally. There ain't many women who like the fact that maybe he might have cheated on Melania. Or he may have cheated on Ivana, whatever her name was. Or Marla Maples. Or he may have done this with a porn star. He may have done this with a Playboy bunny. Aren't many women who like that, but I'm seeing right now a trend where women are looking at this and going, he's not my husband. He's not my boyfriend. I don't care at this point. That's between he and Melania and his God. I want this guy as our president to make sure I feel secure, make sure my country feels secure, make sure, everything about my American way of living is the way I want it to be. I'm seeing a seismic shift in suburban women now, not just worried about baby disposal. I can tell you right now, yes, my wife and I are an older couple, but baby disposal doesn't even it's gone. Not even a thought. Her sister, her family, none of them. Not a single woman in that tree. Not a single woman on my family tree gives a crap about baby removal and disposal. It doesn't even register. Especially not now. Maybe as they were younger, they just wanted to maybe even had the option if they were younger. I don't know. But as women are getting older, as they are becoming suburban women with children, families, it's not up here anymore. And I think that's another media shell game that's being played on the American public by telling people it's such a big idea, it's so important, reproductive rights and women's. It's a crock. It's an absolute crock. If you look at your own family and in your surroundings and you start talking to women and just ask them that question. Don't feed into it about the baby removal stuff. Just say, hey, listen, what's most important in your life? And if you're married, you should already know. I'm pretty sure it's going to be stability and security. I'm pretty sure your wife, your girlfriend, finds that to be number one or number two, maybe money, the economy, but it's way down here, the other stuff. And I think that's been something that's been a bill of goods that we've been sold for a long time, that suburban women find baby removal as the number one thing. Don't see it anymore. Could be wrong. Correct. Not my husband. I have different standards, of course. I'm looking at some of the women. Safety, safety, safety. It's true. At my age, it's not important. It's not Belinda is not anywhere on my list. Another woman says, Cindy says, give me Clint Eastwood any day. So if we're seeing it, and there's probably 4,000 or 5,000 comments plus in this stream right now. We're not unique. We're part of a huge group of people where you can start looking. You know how I talk about the polling data on Fridays. I do my weekly polling show on Friday. And one of the things I laugh at is that, we polled 600 voters across the country. I'm like, 600? 600? We got more than 600 people here. We have more than 600 people right now in this chat. I can tell you right now, there is over 5,000 people right now in this chat, in this stream. Over 5,000. We and from across the world. I get people who watch these shows from across the world. And granted, most of them, because of what the topic is, are Trump supporters. But it's still nonetheless a lot more than a poll that calls 600 people. And these things are manufactured, and they're lying, and they're doing everything else. I mean, it's just insane how people think that these polls actually make a difference when they're openly lying to people, and we know they're lying to people. And the last thing I want to say, because I'm probably going to do a 7 o'clock show tonight. I got something that's popped up. If I can put the production together, I'll do a 7 o'clock show, or maybe 7:30. Got a good idea on something that I'm getting some information on. But before I go, one of the things I know a lot of you guys say, thank you, Barry. A lot of you guys say it's the best thing you see. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate every super chat. I'm going to read them off in a second. But what I want to do right now is thank each and every one of you who participate in the chat. That's what makes this channel different. You guys can basically go to any YouTube channel. You can go to Rumble. You can go anywhere and watch these videos. And there's so many opportunities for you to see things. What I really like is first and foremost, I want to thank these moderators who do a great job trying to keep the nuts out. And one of the things I've asked the moderators to do is just don't immediately ban somebody. Let them know, hey man, that's a little out of bounds. Just chill. Because the thing I love the most is that as I'm doing this and I'm watching or I'm talking and I get to look in here, what I absolutely love is that you guys all interact with each other. I can't believe how many times I'll look over and I'll see an @ sign where I'm like, oh, that's not for me. There's somebody's talking to somebody. You're not alone. There are literally thousands of people, sometimes tens of thousands, depending on what the subject matter is, what the event is, who are watching these videos with us. And I encourage you to understand you're not alone and reach out to other people in the chat and talk to them. These are real people. They're not bots, except for maybe the trolls. and feel comfortable knowing that you're amongst friends, and I cherish that. I mean, that was when I first started this channel. Somebody asked me about the platform. I was like, I didn't want to put videos out there for people to watch. I wanted to build a community. People felt comfortable talking to each other and saying what they really feel. And because of that, I am so happy that you guys all talk to each other and get involved. So let me just take the last couple of minutes here and, thank as many of these super chats. Timothy Bright, thank you very much. He did it twice. Best I Am product reviews, thank you very much. Dark Warrior, back again, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Nancy Jennings, Roxy Loyola, that's a good handle. Marvin McLean, Bruce Engelhart, Maureen Trant, Mid Destiny, Mike McCarthy, Jean Abad, thank you. Rena Morales, Knitting Turnpike, like that. A Canadian guy. Barry, I'm American, and someday I would love to tell you the story about why I'm in the University of Toronto. Love to hear that. It's from It's Just Kalani. And thank you all, extremely happy for that. And 808 Pineapple Queen. So somebody is in Hawaii. 808, or used to be 808 Pineapple Queen. Thank you very, very much. So I'm going to see if I can't put together a show for 7 or 7:30. Hope you guys can make it back. You'll love the topic if I can get together and see what kind of news breaks between now and then. Thanks for watching. Talk to you very soon. Hit the like button on your way out.